Captain Marvel. They're kind of like self-contained story. Definitely establishes a lot of things within the MCU as Captain Marvel's the second Avenger in a way, where she was started off as like a fighter pilot and she was on this mission with Lawson in order to fly the ship to this sanctuary for the race called the Skrulls. And the Skrulls are like this kind of shape-shifting race. But then, everything kind of goes wrong and the ship crash lands because this whole tension between the Kree and the Skrulls, and the Kree were established in Guardians of the Galaxy. And then you have this character, yon-rogg, played by Jude Law, who's trying to stop Lawson because she's like a renegade Kree, and he shoots down the plane. She's about to kill Lawson, but then Carol, played by Brie Larson, stands up to him and then tries to destroy the core because the core is powered by the Tesseract, which has obviously been established in previous movies. It's been taken from S.H.I.E.L.D. after the ending of Captain America, where they're trying to search for Steve Rogers and they eventually find the Tesseract and keep it in their possession. And then that becomes Project Pegasus, which is headed by Lawson, which starts this whole program. And then once Carol shoots the engine explodes and then all the particles from the Tesseract wash over. She becomes Captain Marvel, or I guess in this case Veers, and the Kree are trying to use her powers for evil in order to wipe out the Skrulls. They put the little inhibitor chip on the back of her head, and Captain Marvel is trying to find out like who she is and where she belongs. And then this whole mission of trying to kill off the Skrulls, but then Carol tries to escape, but then gets captured by the Skrulls, and then they kind of tamper with her memories, and then she figures out more about her backstory and her history. And then as she tries to escape, she lands on Earth and then bumps into young Nick Fury and then young Agent Coulson. It was kind of cool seeing the younger version of Samuel L. Jackson, kind of like the Die Hard with a Vengeance Nick Fury. So yeah, we kind of get more backstory of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Kree and the Skrull War. So I think that's pretty essential for the overall MCU. And we get reintroduced to like Korath, who was a villain in Guardians of the Galaxy, and Ronan as well, seeing their whole like backstory, being these Kree fanatics and whatnot, and like why they are the way they are once we get to Guardians of the Galaxy. So it's kind of cool seeing that. Then we also get introduced to the character of Talos, who's like a refugee of the Skrulls, and his whole motivation is to find a home for the Skrulls. So he finally recruits Carol Danvers and then tells her about the whole backstory. Carol remembers everything that happened to her previously and then teams up with Talos and with Nick Fury in order to defeat yon-rogg and defeat the Supreme Intelligence in order to get the Skrulls a safe home. So yeah, so there's definitely, again, more essential elements, more so that they will kind of be more important for like Spider-Man Far From Home, but not really for the overall Infinity Saga. The only real, I guess, essential elements for it are how S.H.I.E.L.D. got the Tesseract again, because there's the whole character of Goose, who turns out to be a Flurkin, who's like a cat who has these tentacles that come out of his mouth. He ends up ingesting the Tesseract and then gets brought back to Earth. With Nick Fury, we get the whole explanation of how Nick Fury got the scar over his eye, which is like, last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye. I'm trusting you not to eat me. So I guess that explains it. Still kind of dumb, but whatever. We get the establishment of the Protector Initiative, but then Nick Fury sees the photo of Carol Danvers and that her nickname was Avenger, so then he kind of has that grin and then realize, oh, it's the Avenger Initiative. So yeah, again, there's like a lot of essential things that kind of set up the overall MCU. And then the last thing with the pager that Carol gives to Nick for emergencies only, which obviously he used in the last movie, Infinity War, during this kind of world-ending event. And then we get the mid-credit scene of Steve and Natasha and Bruce and Rhodey trying to figure out like what's going on with this pager, and then they see like it stopped and like, wait, what's going on with this? And they kind of like turn around, then we see Carol Danvers in there and it's like, where's Fury? So now Captain Marvel is finally within the Infinity Saga, and then we'll see how essential she is for Endgame. But overall, yeah, I think it's like a fine movie. It wasn't my favorite when I first watched it, but then watching it now, seeing its place in the MCU, it's like, I think it's still like a fine movie and does the job. So yeah, overall pretty good.